Kia ora and welcome back, everybody. Here we are with part 4 of my reaction to the NZSAS First Among Equals documentary, Cycle of Training. So let's jump in.
The patrol is vastly outnumbered by the hunter force. Although this is just an exercise, all treat it as deadly real.
Mission. Company is to capture enemy patrol through ambushing in order to ensure the unity and security of New Zealand.
The manhunt begins. The skies fill with search helicopters and the army mobilizes. Meanwhile, the patrol must rely on its own footwork to cover the ground.
You know the hunter force is looking for you. You got certain checkpoints to meet. I mean, the control of your destiny, if you like, is in your hands.
The patrol knows the only way to achieve its mission is to keep going through the night. But so does hunter force. Day 2, and hunter forces blocked all the main routes as its ground forces pushed deeper into the countryside. Knowing their pursuers are close by, the patrol is confronted with an open track. Their dilemma: cross and risk ambush, or head back towards the search party.
You make the wrong decision, you get caught.
It's not long before the dogs pick up the patrol's scent and the chase begins.
Bloody dogs. It's an awesome course to do, and to be on the other side, to being hunted, and then being in the hunter force and going through that process, looking for the guys on cycle, trying to make their various checkpoints around their agent RVs or their agent rendezvous, where they'll then get more information for another checkpoint and where they need to go to. And the whole time, the hunter force has sort of fairly, I suppose maybe broad brushstrokes might be the way to describe it, but they have a good understanding of the areas where you're going to be going. And so, when you've got a battalion plus the Air Force plus police and their dogs, or military with their dogs, and in our case there was a Fijian detachment that was over in NZ at the time during our cycle. There are a heck of a lot of people looking for you to try to grab you and put you through the ringer as far as the interrogation and stuff goes. So, but this is interesting, seeing it where the guys on cycle have got all their kit and their gear. We didn't have that on my one, but I'd say this is probably a better version, more realistic, rather than being like just skin and bones and running around with our sandbag sacks on our back and a homemade little backpack.
At an open crossroads, they face exposure, but make it through unseen.
If the dog teams are on your tracks, then you got to move faster than them and drop their scent.
You know what? I'm really interested and surprised, but also think it's pretty cool that the camera crews are with the cycle attached to them and going along. So, to get all the footage and following along, or being in amongst them while they're going along, it's a pretty big signal and marker for a hunter force or for anybody, because I don't imagine their noise discipline and all that sort of stuff is I can't say. Maybe they are very good, and I'm sure they're doing their best to keep their noise and stuff down, and maybe they've been given a briefing, and the guys on cycle have probably, hopefully probably camouflaged to a degree or in some sort of uniform. But interesting and cool that the media have gone in with them with the cycle and following them along.
I got a Matsato knife, and what followed was an absolute fiasco. So I almost...
Day 3, the air throbs with activity, and the patrol again goes to ground. All the time, hunter force gets closer. As the choppers pass overhead, the patrol takes its chances in the dense undergrowth in a bid to confuse the chasing dogs. They move fast enough to drop the scent and only just make it to the checkpoint. They are given vital intelligence that must not fall into enemy hands under any circumstances.
It is really black and white when you look at it. Say nothing and get out of there is the aim.
It's day 4 of Operation Great Escape, and the patrol is exhausted.
You're there living and breathing for 24 hours. You're doing it without sleep, yeah. You're doing it without food.
They can only rest when Hunter Force allows.
Preferably a place that's pretty ugly, you know, where you don't think the enemy party will look for you or want to go in there.
Desperately behind on time, the patrol spies a shortcut. But is it an ambush?
Your mind's thinking about what if, what could happen.
Remembering what they've been taught from the veterans, the patrol correctly deduces that the broken foliage means a trap. They retreat into the undergrowth. It's the final night of Operation Great Escape, and Hunter Force intensifies their efforts. With 30 kilometres still to go, the patrol meets a waiting van to take them to their final destination.
The friendly waiting van or the friendly Unimog, or you've made it and you've been picked up and getting taken to safety, which is really you just get hit with an ambush and then you get dragged out the back of the truck and then tuned up a little bit and then you start the resistance and interrogation phase. That's what I'm thinking anyway when they're shining a light on the van there that's going to take them to safety. So we'll see what happens.
After 5 days on the run, their bodies steal a much-needed rest.
Try and get some rest if you can, guys.
This relaxation will prove a terrible mistake. The patrol has given up the safety of the undergrowth, and they're heading straight into an ambush.
If it shows it.
For 5 days and nights of Operation Great Escape, these soldiers have evaded capture from a large enemy force. They believe their task is finally over.
Well, at least on my cycle, we knew that the task wasn't over. We'd already heard the rumours, and well, they weren't really rumours. We'd already heard, this is what's going to happen. You're going to go through all of that. You're going to get to the last checkpoint. You're going to be getting on the vehicle and being taken to safety. It's going to get hit, and you're going to get dragged out, and it's going to start. The shock of capture and all the other knock-on effects that go into the resistance to interrogation phase. You do think about, should I escape? Should I look to try to escape and get out of there? But at least on mine, it was a no, because we knew it was part of the course, and we know that everybody has to go through the resistance to interrogation. So if you want to try to bust out and be a hero and look to escape and run off out into the bush, go walk about and go, yes, I escaped, so I shouldn't have to go through it. Good luck to you. I'll just say that's a bad move, and you shouldn't do that. Everybody's got to go through the resistance to interrogation phase. So they likely understand and know that they're not out of it. They would have already heard on the back end of Great Escape or your combat survival that you're going in the bag and nobody avoids it.
The reality is, there is no great escape. They're being driven straight into an orchestrated ambush. Now surrounded by the entire Hunter force, there's no chance of escape.
The lot of a Special Forces trooper who is captured by an enemy is a very unhappy one. The best thing that can happen is that
No kidding.
they die quickly. That makes it imperative that they be trained in interrogation techniques, which in turn means that they have to be able to withstand brutality. It's an unfortunate part of the business, but it's a very ugly business to begin with.
It's interesting just seeing that. I think I mentioned in the last video that I'd share a story, so I'll do that. But yeah, I think I've shared this before, and even when I've spoken with other people, the main thing I got out of the resistance to interrogation, what it taught me, was don't get caught. That's all it taught me, because as challenging, as hard, and as difficult as that period and that phase is, both in NZ and in Australia, it's not even really scratching the surface of what it will be like, or what it would be like for real. So I have a massive amount of respect for those POWs and that went through the harshest of conditions and times, and survived and come out the other end. And obviously, likewise, respect and admiration, sadness for those that didn't come out the other end. But resistance to interrogation and going through this phase of the training and the course just taught me personally, don't get caught. You don't want to get caught. So yeah, it's hard. Now, that aside, I think I mentioned that there's a bit of a funny story. One of the stories, at least in our group, and that the Fijian detachment or attachment that we had in the New Zealand Defence Force at the time, or they must have been doing some training with the battalion because they were part of the Hunter Force. Well, we had a bunch of Fijians at the ambush site when our vehicle, our Unimog, got ambushed and we got dragged off the back. Some of us landed pretty hard into the ground, and when they took us to the other vehicles to get us on there, we weren't being picked up and put in like that. We were being walked blindfolded and smacked into the back of the trailer, and then just sort of wedgied and dragged up and thrown up, and other guys up on the top just sort of dragging you in. So that was that part. That wasn't that funny, but that's not the piece that I was wanting to get to. The part that was, well, that's funny now, wasn't funny then. When we got initially dragged off and you saw them lying on the ground, we had to lie down face down. We had to put our hands out to the side, like so. We're like starfish, and for all of us, the natural position was just to keep the palms down. So if you imagine me, arms out, and my palms are down towards the ground. This gets me every time. What the Fijians are saying. So they're saying, "Bums up, bums up," and for all of us, we're like, what the heck are they? Bums up. Sounded like bum, B-U-M. I was like, bums up, bums up. So I remember looking around, like sort of side to side, because we weren't blindfolded by this stage. We had this look on our face like, are we supposed to, are they saying bums up? So, there was a few of us, me included, who looked, they did it again. It must have been third or fourth time. I said, bums up. And so we're lying there, and if you can imagine lying down, arms out, and then sticking your backside out, up in the air. Oh, I think about it now, it must have looked really funny to them. And because I can picture it now, it would look really funny to me. But when that happened and a few of us did that, we all got a smack. We all got whacked around, and then they physically grabbed our hands and said, I said, palms up. So they took our palms and they turned them over. So now our palms are up towards the sky. So instead of having our palms down, they're turned over. And yeah, it's funny now. It's funny when I think about it. It's funny when I hear their voices replaying in my head. But it wasn't funny at the time, especially when we got an extra blink and whack in the back of the head and, sort of hustled a little bit whilst we were on the ground to sort of get into the right position. But that's one of my lasting memories from the resistance to interrogation phase and that initial shock of capture piece. And I was thinking, bloody hell. So when I was listening there, at least they had yeah, there was no funny accents, or there was no accent there to put up with by the sounds of things, but also them getting lifted up. That was quite, seemed quite nice, gentle, a little bit opposite or nothing like what our one was anyway when we went through. I have heard of other cycles before ours that had it a lot worse than ours as well, but that one looked pretty good to be picked up and then placed into the back of the MOG. Maybe they did that just because the cameras were there.
For 5 long hours, they remain face down in the back of a lorry.
You've just got to prepare yourself mentally as much as you can for what happens next.
Now they're driven to an abandoned cabin in the middle of nowhere for their final ordeal.
Does involve taking these soldiers into the darker recesses of the human psyche, and it does involve physical pain. But if they don't explore these things in training, they are more likely to crack immediately when they fall into enemy hands.
It's about toughening this little nut up and saying that, you can get through it.
It's very much a challenge to maintain focus.
And the other thing with that, like they're right mentally and all that sort of stuff that's going on as well, and the need to explore these darker places in training prior to. But the other thing that I always knew and recognized is that it was a course. Like, they're not going to chop things off me. I'm not going to be beaten within an inch of my life. You'll get a little bit of a tune-up, but not to the point whereby, well, I never felt and never thought that we would be tuned up to the point whereby we needed to go to a hospital. And that was the case. We never needed to go to a hospital. We get a few bumps and bruises and that sort of thing. But yeah, not life and death, not life-threatening, I should say, but enough to make you realize, well, hence why I said earlier, it's not even scratching the surface. Hence why I said it taught me anyway, one thing: don't get caught. Because you're not going to end up in you're not going to end up in a box, basically, on the course.
Are you going to break?
One by one, they're led away to face their fate.
If people haven't assimilated the skills required, then our options are really there's only one, and that's that we remove them at that point in time.
It's a scene that only those involved in may witness.
The other funny part in that, at least for me in hindsight looking back, we got, once we were captured and we were put into a holding area, we were at Halwan camp for hours. That's where we got taken to. There was a shower block and stuff there. We were for a large period of time, stress positions and that sort of thing, blindfolded, earmuffs on. But we got stripped off and changed into, or thrown a pair of overalls to put on. The overalls that I had were blanking, like real short on the sleeve, short on the legs, so it felt like I was being bloody wedgied the whole time. And the overalls that I was given, it was terrible. That was more uncomfortable than the stress positions for me personally. But I can smile and laugh about it now. But I remember some of the guys after because once you'd gone through, you're sort of off to the side, and then the next person comes through, blindfolds off, you can see everything by then. Yeah, and I remember the guys laughing when they saw me coming along. They're like, check out the blinking overalls he got. Some guys got nice, big, baggy ones. Other guys got ones that just sort of fit them, I suppose, just right. And then some of us got blinking the raw end of the deal, man. But yeah, the ones that I had were bloody pretty rubbish. So yeah, I was glad when that phase was over.
48 hours later, they are finally released. They didn't crack. All 5 soldiers are through. It's been a profound experience.
It's not something anybody really talks about. The experience itself is between you and the interrogators and the people that were there. Because it is, to a degree, humiliating, dangerous if it's not controlled properly. And yeah, it's not something you go and crack a bottle of champagne over, but it is, I believe, something that is needed.
Yeah, I agree with it. Yeah, it's definitely necessary. It's a necessary part of the training and the process to go in. Again, that'll give you a good insight as to whether or not you're prepared for physically, mentally to really want to do that job. But yeah, definitely not something that you crack a bottle of champagne over. That's a very true point. It is humiliating. Like there are aspects of it that are really humiliating for the individual when you're going through it. But I've sort of past that personally for me at a stage where I can sort of talk about that, and I don't mind talking about it if people ask. Yeah, I was stripped down naked. Yeah, I was made fun of my manhood. Yeah, they tried to make me do these, get into positions and threaten to do things. Did I believe or think that that was ever going to happen? No. Cognitively, I still knew like none of that's going to happen. And at the end of the day, I also knew that if anything was about to happen, I had enough energy to scratch, claw, fight, bite, do whatever I would have needed to do to fight back. That was just how I was wired. That's still how I'm wired. And if anything was going to happen, then I was going to retaliate. And there have been stories of people that have retaliated during their interrogation phases. Because like Eddie said, yeah, there's some stuff there that's definitely necessary. I agree. Necessary, needed. It is humiliating though, like you said, and it's not something you sit around and go, oh yeah, they did this to me, they did that. And it's like, I can talk about it in general terms. But yeah, it's still just not even scratching the surface. In my honest opinion, I haven't been captured for real on operations or anything like that, so I can't speak with any sort of authenticity in regards to that. But I have enough of an imagination to understand that what we went through, albeit difficult, albeit necessary and needed, is still nothing compared to what it would be like should and if the real thing had have happened. So that's my 2 cents anyway.
1 year ago, 50 men set out to join the NZSAS. Today, only 5 have earned that badge.
To be badged, for us, to be badged in the SAS was the highlight of my career anyway.
Went home and on leave, and I thought I was the king of the castle, and I've felt it ever since. When you put that beret on, you must feel 10 foot tall.
Said, oh, done that, and now let's try and demonstrate that you're worthy of it.
Love that. It's beautiful hearing the elders before speaking and sharing their thoughts. I particularly love that comment. See if you're worthy of it now. Yeah, just it's an awesome feeling. It's great to hear. There's a part in here, so maybe it's in part 2 of the First Among Equals, because I'm still in part 1 of 2. But it hasn't shown the counterterrorism phase, the black roll stuff. So yeah, like I said, maybe it's in part 2. That was all part of the cycle as well, prior to badging, prior to the badging parade taking place. So yeah, I'm assuming all of that has taken place, but maybe it hasn't. Maybe they just did all that other stuff in the patrol procedures, and then they get badged, and then maybe they went into the black roll stuff in part 2. So we'll see what happens in there after this. But what's that, 24 minutes? So I'm going to just let this play for a little bit longer.
We are the Pilgrim's Master. We shall go always a little further.
It's not about the marching. It's not about that. It goes deeper.
It's more of a sense of achievement within, I think.
Today's 2 families combine, the families of those being badged with the family that is one NZSAS group.
We're all, humble
New Zealand Special Air Service berets are presented to those personnel who have qualified on the NZSAS Basic Cycle of Training.
Your turn for operational service will come soon enough.
Congratulations, we wear this beret with pride.
You have a great deal more to learn, and remember always the pursuit of excellence. This is a significant rite of passage. You now stand with us and share a bond unlike any other. You are now one of us.
That's awesome. I can tell you now, I can watch this or watch, badging ceremonies and seeing these 5 guys out of their cohort of 50 that went getting badged, and just have a really filled heart for them. Big smile on my face, because I can just imagine, and I know what that feeling is like, having had the privilege to receive mine in Australia, been able to, like watching the cohort that I went through on cycle with in NZ go up and get badged. I definitely wasn't standing on the sideline with a big smile on my face. I can tell you that right now. I was really hurt. I was really upset. I was gutted. There was no part of me that wanted to be there that day, to stand on the side of the parade ground and watch my mates that I was on cycle with go up and get their beret. I was happy for them. Don't get me wrong. Like that was never in question. I was just selfishly sad for me, because I didn't get to go up at the same time with them after having been through everything with them, if that makes sense. But now, looking at these guys, and I think anybody else, if I saw or met them going up to get theirs, man, just I know what that feeling's like. I can connect with that. Grateful for it, and those guys will be feeling really proud of their achievement, and as they should too, as they should. It's awesome. And it was great what I observed, both in Australia as well and in NZ. The guys that are already badged, they come stand out off to the side on the parade ground, and it was nice to see them go through my cohort, thinking back now, and they shook their hands and just acknowledged the guys for the work that they had done to earn the Sandy Beret Wing Dagger and the Sky Blue Belt in NZ. And Australia was not quite the same, like it wasn't like that, but they were there. There were those operators that were able to be there, were there for those of us that were getting badged on that day. So yeah, it's an awesome moment. You never forget it. Well, I won't anyway.
All the lessons you've learned through cycle and selection, knowing that you can go that little bit further, all the skills that you've picked up, and knowing that that's just the beginning. That's only just the beginning of what's really going to come.
In the world of the New Zealand SAS, the door has only just opened.
We've achieved a lot to get to that basic level of capability and be a posted member of the unit, but now you have to live it.
Next week, for the first time ever, you will see the inner workings of one of the world's fighting elites, the New Zealand SAS. Our cameras will follow the newly badged troopers as they acquire counter-terrorism skills, essential for modern warfare, where even New Zealand could become the battleground.
Cool, that makes sense. And so, yeah, this lot have been badged from what they've said. And as I was touching on earlier, when I went through on the cycle, you had to pass all the courses, including the patrol procedures, including the counter-terrorism stuff and everything in between, the parachuting, the demolitions, the combat survival, the escape and evasion, resistance to interrogation, etc. So, it looks like a little bit different in here. So they're badged now, and then they'll go through that CT counter-terrorism stuff and training as part of their ongoing training, because they're still, still training wheels are still on. They've met the basic minimum standard, and there's more to come, like Dale said. So we'll leave this one here, and we'll be able to step into part 2 of the documentary by the looks of things. So next one we'll come back for that. Thank you very much for sticking around and being here once again. Appreciate your time and your valuable time to give of and come here on my small channel. And for those that also leave comments in that as well, really, really appreciate it. And for those that take the time to subscribe to the channel as well, know that I genuinely appreciate that too. So thank you. And as always, any challenges, obstacles, dramas, suffering that you may be going through, know that they're just for a short period of time. I don't know how long that short period of time will go for. It can feel like an eternity. I understand that. But there are better days to come. There are better days ahead. So keep turning up, keep staying in the fight, keep pushing forward, strive to go always a little further and keep taking one more step at a time. And remember, who dares wins. Until the next video.